Hey team, checking in with you. It is a beautiful day, the 1st of May. It's a cracker, and I just want to talk you through something that I snap every morning. It's the Deeds Not Words paving slab on my way into work. I'm always snapping it, and I put it on my Snap story because I really believe in it. Deeds, not words. Now, that's not Philistinism. That's not saying that, any kind of discussion, dialogue, thought around anything is wrong. But I am saying I think that action, deeds, supersedes any kind of, thought or procrastination. Thought disguised as procrastination, that's what I should say. Because that's what I think a lot of thought is today. A lot of it is not actually teeing people up to, absolutely smash it and execute and do the best they can. Rather, it is to procrastinate. So, deeds not words. What do I mean by that? Let's unpack it a bit more. So I think, in today's society and how it's set up with the smartphone, with the internet, a lot of online video out there, a lot of content, a lot of information. There is a tendency to watch. How do I know? I just look at other people. I look at what they're doing on their smartphone. I look at how they speak about things in general. I listen carefully. And then I also monitor and gauge what's going on in my head when I'm using my smartphone, how I use it, where my attention is naturally drawn towards. And there's so many things out there at the moment. There's, interesting videos, extraordinary videos, blog posts, podcasts, travel vlogs, all sorts, celebrities, all sorts of stuff. And all this stuff, a lot of the time, 90 to 95% of the time, I'd argue, encourage us to spend more time with them, to spend more time watching or discussing or pondering. Very few of them encourage us to take individual action and do things and actually make a change. Rather, I think a lot of us are satisfied with the thought of being that way, the thought of climbing a mountain in Malaysia, the thought of walking down the street in Cuba and looking at all the cool cars, the thought of starting your own business and doing all that stuff is often enough of a high to sedate any action that could take place, because you actually allow yourself to not have that emotional release of looking at a video or a piece of content and pondering more about what you might do, and instead you ignore all that and you just begin to do. It might not be the right thing, but you begin to do, and that's the tipping point. That's when you start to make progress. It might be in the wrong direction, but it's progress. And then you navigate the course from there, figuring out what you need to change, adjust, tweak day in, day out. And you're actually making whatever those things were that you were watching, dreaming about, talking about in your mind, self-dialogue, maybe to other people as well. You're making those things a reality, which I'd encourage everybody to do. And I think one of the underlying things that helps me make some of the decisions about really taking action rather than just thinking, watching, or speaking about it is the idea that, and never forget, I think people forget this too much, and it's because it's a hard truth. It's one that isn't nice, it's not, rosy, happy families, but I think it's one that you have to consider within the society you live in. So when I was studying history at university, I studied a lot of different societies and essentially how they're run. And there's two systems, if you look at the two ends of the political spectrum, there's communism at the one end. Essentially, a good way to think of that is, everybody gets the same. Everyone gets the same. Now, we know that in history that it doesn't often turn out like that. Human greed comes into it, and everybody, 98% of the people get the same, and 2% get extortionately more than everybody else. And then on the other end of the spectrum, there's capitalism. The idea that everything is an exchange, that people can acquire different levels of finance and power, so to speak, through endeavour, hard work, deal making, things like that. So you've got those two ends of the spectrum, and the important thing to remember, especially, at least, I don't know how social media is digested in a communist society. In fact, I'd argue that it's suppressed a lot of the time. But I don't know, I don't have enough knowledge to comment on that. But I'm saying in a capitalist society, the one thing that you need to remember is that everything is an exchange. Absolutely everything. Everything's a trade. Everything has some sort of worth put behind it, some sort of value associated to it. And the same thing goes with your attention. And when you watch and ponder and digest content online, you are essentially spending money. You are funding that person's vlogging lifestyle. You are, funding the platforms that have posted that organic or viral video that you are watching. And once you put it in those terms, which are simple terms but true terms in my view, you begin to behave a little bit differently, because you realise that if everything costs, then you better stop just mindlessly digesting, thinking and pondering, and actually doing some stuff to position yourself in a strong position to actually succeed. And once you start doing that, things fall into place pretty nicely. But it's that temptation. I was talking to someone on the weekend about the smartphone being the fifth addiction. This idea that it really can just suck you into a spot where your environment, the things that you're being exposed to day to day, nobody can see that but you, because you're the only one, and whoever's serving the content to you online on the internet, of course, but nobody can see that apart from you. And that's why it's an addiction in that sense, because we know that the stuff you get served down your smartphone, it's been proven, trigger the same dopamine receptors that other addictions do, like drugs and alcohol. And the other thing is, it's a psychological thing, in that nobody can really, apart from a psychologist, I don't know how they do it, but they dig into your brain a bit and actually see what you're thinking and how you're processing the information, which is so interesting to me, because I just think it has such a big impact on what people do, which is the all-important thing. Yeah, there's an internal dialogue that's going on, but essentially you could stand still all life and just think, and it wouldn't be much point in being around, because it wouldn't be impacting, doing anything, contributing. But the things on this device contribute to and impact the way we act every day. So remember that's deeds, not words for you. That's the thesis And you know what? I'm going to stop talking about it and I'm going to start doing it. So I need to get into work and start making things happen, staying focused and on task, getting stuff done, being in my zone and making an impact. So have a good one, do the same, and enjoy today. Cheers.